Okay, welcome to another edition of Coffee with Kenny. Good morning.
Morning. It is so good to be here today, Rut.
Well, we are glad to be here as well. So we solicited for questions on Instagram and Facebook, and we got several from your members. Coffee with Kenny is a regular feature that we do for people who may not have been able to ask you personally the questions that they wanted, or they didn't make the union meeting or whatever, and it's just another effort on your part to communicate with your members, and I think it's well appreciated. So let's launch into the questions and see where it takes us, okay?
All right, let's do it.
All right, so the first question is right out of the gate here. Why haven't the apprentices gotten a raise yet?
Well, we're in between contract negotiations, so typically you don't get a raise, until the contract ends. We did try to work on some MOUs, but we just hadn't been able to come to an agreement with the MOUs. So that's the reason with that. The MOUs are out. We couldn't come together. At the end of the day, we want the apprentices on percentage. It's going to be pretty easy for our contractors to know what we're going to ask for at negotiations and what we've been asking for since 2017. That it makes sure that apprentices get a raise every time a journeyman wireman gets a raise. But our journeymen get a raise September. So we'll get another 30 cents in September. But unfortunately, our apprentices, they're not going to get anything right now.
And
unless the contractors come, we'll always, we're advocating for them to get a raise. So unless the contractors want to come and say, hey, we're going to give the apprentices a raise, then they'll get a raise. But they have to agree to it. At the end of the day, it's their decision. Like I've said before, the local union, if I could cut the check and give you the raise, you'd have it. So here the IBEW would.
Well, and as I understand it, 613 is one of the only locals that's not on a percentage.
That's
that right?
Correct. Yep. Very, very few. But I don't know of any other that are on a percentage. And
they're not on a percentage.
That are not on a percentage, that are on a monetary amount. We're the only ones.
Right.
That I've found. And I've asked around pretty intensively to find out. Okay. It just makes sense. I mean, everything else is on a percentage.
Right.
Your lead journeyman, your foreman, your general foreman, area foreman, your administration down here, our pay is based off percentage of journeyman wireman. Your apprentices and your CEs and CWs are the only classifications that are not on that percentage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So question number 2, do you pay for the workers that are out for COVID? Who pays them, the contractors or the union?
Well, we used to, through mutual agreement on the Board of Trustees, we had short-term disability during COVID, but the funds paid for it. Currently now, there's no benefit that mandates them to be paid through collective bargaining agreement. If you're out in our business, you don't get paid unless we get something in writing. I think there are some contractors that, value and understand that they need to pay folks for being out if it's out of their control, So, but no, currently there's nothing in the CBA that mandates for them to be paid because they have COVID. It's unfortunate, but back when we were really at the height of COVID, we had the short-term disability plan that you could get from our health fund if you were out.
Right.
But that no longer is in effect.
Is COVID still pervasive on work sites now, or do you get any?
I think it's going to be something that we're going to deal with the rest of our lives, unfortunately. But do we hear about it as much? Is it out there as much? I mean, I think it comes in spurts like everything else.
Right.
But we're not hearing too much about it. I mean, we hear of occasional cases where somebody calls in and says, hey, I got COVID, I'm out, what do I need to do? And we try to help them as much as we can, but, usually it's, 7 days, turnaround. So usually you miss a week of work and hopefully you can get back after that. But if there is anybody out there that needs any assistance because you are out for COVID, we'll do anything we can do to try to make sure you and your family are taken care of. We got the welfare fund. There's different things we can do to try to help, but it would be case by case. There's nothing collectively bargained across the board to pay for COVID if you're out.
Okay. All right. So the third question is, and this came up at the union meeting the other night. The question is, will the hall provide more resources to help members learn the skills to do BIM, B-I-M? Is there any way we can bring that more visibility to, is there any way we can bring more visibility to that as an option so that our members can fill these roles?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's a great idea. You know, we've been striving to offer different classes like that. Last year, we offered a BIM class. You know, we put it out on social media, make sure your email address and your contact information is correct. And if you're watching this, if you're watching Coffee with Kenny, you probably get the notifications. So look for the news to come out. Look in the Livewire. We'll start updating when we're going to do BIM classes. But last year we did a BIM class, and you know there's a process of approval that we have to go through, and so we bring it to the e-board, and then it's ratified on the floor. We can do anything this membership wants to do within means, as long as we go through the proper democratic process.
Right.
So last year I think the e-board set they wanted 25 people. Because the class, unfortunately, you're not going to find anybody that does it for free, but we want to offer it for free.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And the e-board just had one recommendation that we have at least 25 people before we host the class. So once the information gets out, everybody knows about it. They have to call in, email, RSVP, and then they get on the list for the class.
Right.
So it's a long answer. Yes, we can do it. We can do another BIM class. But I think 32 people signed up, and 8 people showed up for the class. It was a 40-hour class.
Yeah.
So it was a good class. So when we do that, we'll probably start asking the members to give a deposit. You know, you'll get it back, but you know we want you to give a deposit so we can secure an instructor, get the class set up. And then we'll move forward. And then after you complete the class, we'll give you a deposit back. But yeah, we can do whatever the membership wants to do.
Okay. And so that information will be put out when it's ready, and look for it in the Livewire, which goes out right before the union meeting, right?
Yep. Sure does. It goes out
before the union meeting.
It sure does.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, and this came up at the union meeting the other night. What's going on with Plant Bowen? Are they still going to shut it down? And if so, what does that mean to Local 613?
So Bowen was going to be shut down in 28. Work on the work outlook had started coming down. There wasn't many projects on the horizon. And that's what's so good about partnerships and working with our elected officials. So we've been fostering a relationship with our public service commissioners, all of them, Commissioner Eccles, Pridemore, Fitz, Shaw, McDonald. We've been working with all of them, and they took a vote, and they voted to extend it. So that's great. That's great news to extend, because it was going to close in 2028. It was gone. And we work a lot of man hours out there, and they voted, and it passed, so it's extended. Since that extension, and it was made public and it came out, there's $88 million worth of work that happened just almost instantly after that extension of the plant.
Awesome.
That's going to happen in 23, 25, and leading up to the next few years. So that's what's good about having allies and people that understand what we do as working people, what working middle-class families are doing to put back into the economy and to help, people have electricity, basically. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't be able to generate power.
Right.
So, it's a good thing to have those relationships. I appreciate all the public service commissioners. And that's good news. Yeah.
That was kind of a bipartisan thing. I mean,
it was. Yeah. Most definitely it was.
Okay, good. Well, that's good news. All right. So this is a suggestion. It was a long question, and I shortened it for the purposes of this podcast. It says, suggestion, a class for apprentices or anyone in the local to help teach financial discipline, how to manage your money. a lot of these kids do not have anybody to look to in the form of money management at home. Is there anything like that for apprentices?
Yeah. So we can, again, this goes back to participation. Having updated your contact updated, we can run anything that the membership wants to do. I think that's a great idea. We've been talking about that the last couple of years. We need to help classes to teach how to manage our money, to live inside our means. Don't live outside your means. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. So to me, looks like we got on the agenda to set up another BIM class and a financial money management class as well, so we can start on that. But that's a great idea. Like I said, we work for the membership. The Brothers and Sisters 613, we serve you wholeheartedly. That's what we do. So if that's the pleasure of the membership and they want some classes like that to be rolled out, we can roll it out. That's something good for AMPed to let the apprentices know, we're going to offer a financial money management class. Speaking of AMP, the next AMPed gathering is going to be September the 22nd. So it'll be another time we can get together and talk and hang out and actually live by the principles that the IBEW was built on.
Well, the first AMP event was a huge success.
Yeah.
I was there, and it was a really great turnout. So it'd be great to be doing that on September 22nd,
September
right?
22nd.
All right, and we'll put that in the live wire as well. Okay, so the next one says, "Hey, Kenny, first of all, thank you for all you do for the union. We keep hearing about what's going on, what we are going to do next year after we enter modified CIR. What can we do to try and make our point to the contractors? Is that something that everybody is on board with?" So it has to be something that everybody's on board with, excuse me.
Yeah, well, for sure. Well, I think the biggest thing right now is we need to get to negotiations, and we need to, I was having a conversation the other day with a couple brothers and sisters, and when you start growing as fast as we've grown, you have to make sure that you carry the same work ethics we were built on, okay? Because as a membership, we have to make sure that we continue to do our job as well. And when I say that, I mean we got to go into these jobs and we got to work 8 for 8. We got to take pride in what we're doing, and we got to install quality. That is what we can do right now, because that's going to help us in the future, coming up in the next year, 18 months, 2 years. Nobody wants to see production increase when a crew comes off the project. That's what our conversation was about. We're in a contract to work and put in solid product and quality. That's what we pride ourselves on. So when we're at work, we need to work, because the worst thing we could have happen is, say you're working at one of our larger hospitals and say a whole crew leaves for whatever reason. They all get COVID and production goes up. That's totally against what we're about. Yeah. We have to make sure that we're working, or anything we ask for will never come to fruition.
Right.
And I believe we are. We're working, but that's just something always to keep in mind, to understand, we're currently in a contract. So there'll be more to come out. There's 2 types of CIR. There's modified and there's standard. We're currently in standard. There's a process you have to go through. So I hope that answers the question. What we can do now is go to work. Yeah. Install quality product. Give it your best. Make sure you are able to also have a good time while you're on the job. We're only on the earth a very short period of time. So when you're going to work, build relationships, take pride in what you're doing, and enjoy the brothers and sisters that you're getting to work with. Because what's going to happen, you're going to leave that job, and that same crew makeup and that same group of people will never be together again, 99% of the time. So make memories while you're there. Work, have a good time, and let's get to 2023 and enter into negotiations on a positive note and see what happens then.
I'm always moved by the retirement luncheons that I've attended where the brothers and sisters get together and talk about those jobs, and they were kind of part of each other's lives for 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, and then they go about their way, and that, but that always comes, that's something they always talk about, is the good times they had on the job.
Yeah, you can always hear at the retiree luncheons good stories. I love, that's one of my favorite events, It always has been for the last 5 years. So they get together, a lot of wisdom in the room. Essentially they paved the way and got 613 where it is today.
Yeah. All right. Came to our last question here. So the last question is, are we doing anything special for Labor Day, and how can I get involved?
Yes. Labor Day is our day. Labor Day is a day that the country observes for us. It's our birthday. It's a special day. So we're going to have a big event down here at the local. We partner with the Atlanta Labor Council. We will march to the Capitol to show them that labor's out. That IBEW, that all building trades, that all union labor is celebrating that day.
So all the trades are coming.
Every
to
union
the
in
613
Atlanta.
hall.
We want every union in Atlanta to show up and show out. And then we do a barbecue. We hang out. It's going to be a great time. But whatever you do, if you can't make it down here, enjoy the day and do not labor. Don't work. Yeah. It's our day to reflect and to enjoy.
So what time should people get to the hall?
We're not going to start the march until 10. So you start mustering up here at the local, I'd say, 8:30, 9 o'clock, because you'll want to sit around. We'll have to give the logistics of the march and get together and line up and march. So, anywhere between 8 and 9. Cool.
So that sounds fun. That's it for the questions from your members. Anything else you want to impart to the membership before we call it a day?
Thank you. Just tell them I appreciate what y'all do. And as always, if y'all ever need anything from us, please just call us. Let us know. We're here for you. And I appreciate what you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you for another edition of Coffee with Kenny. We'll see you next time.
See ya.